love puzzles. I can't wait to do this. This is going to be so much fun. Oh. I don't really like this piece. It's kind of ugly. It's like dark and looks like mud and yeah, I don't think I'm going to use this in the puzzle. I don't like the way it looks. I don't know what the puzzle maker was thinking. Nah. Now, I really like this piece. It's like nice and colorful and blue and red. Yeah, I'm going to keep this piece and use it. I'll just do the puzzle. I'll take off the ones that I don't like and just use the ones that I like. Like this one, it kind of looks like doo-doo. We don't need that one. Oh man, I've been working at this forever and I still can't tell what it is. Maybe I shouldn't have gotten rid of those pieces I didn't like. Because the puzzle makers, they probably knew what they were doing when they made the puzzle, and even the ugly pieces there needed to see the complete picture and to make a masterpiece, so I guess I shouldn't have gotten rid of those. Hey guys, welcome to day 2 of VBS. We're so excited to have you guys joining us again today. Thanks for tuning in yesterday where we learned about how God doesn't change. We were so thrilled to see all of your guys' responses of how God didn't change, and you found that in the Bible. We're digging in and finding the truth about God. So thanks for joining us yesterday. We're excited to have you again today. So today's attribute is, drumroll please. Oh, are you dizzy? Today's attribute is God is in control. So we're going to be looking through the Bible, digging into scripture and finding out different stories and references that give us evidence that God is in control of everything. So today's lesson is actually a lesson you guys are probably all familiar with. It's a story through the Bible that you probably all have heard at some point in either a kid's Bible or in a Sunday school lesson. We're going to be talking about Daniel and the lion's den, but we're going to take it way back to the beginning because there is evidence that God is in control from the very beginning of that story's start. So in the time that King Nebuchadnezzar was king over Babylon, Babylon and Israel were at war with each other. And in one of the great battles, King Nebuchadnezzar actually conquered the city of Jerusalem. So after Jerusalem was conquered, a lot of the Israelites were taken back as exiles. And the king actually had one of his chief officials get a bunch of young Israelite men who were really smart, really intelligent, good-looking, really skilled in a lot of different areas to come back and work for the king. And among those young men was Daniel. Now, during the years that Daniel was in exile in Babylon, God caused all of the advisors to look on him with favor, and he actually was then chosen to serve the king. And then it went through another changing kings. After King Nebuchadnezzar had died, Belshazzar became king, and then after Belshazzar was killed, a new king came, and that was King Darius. And all that time, Daniel was still living in Babylon, still following the Lord, still trusting the Lord through all of the things that happened. King Darius actually appointed 120 governors over his kingdom with 3 people that were overseeing those governors, and among those 3 men was Daniel. And Daniel really began to distinguish himself and stand out to the king among the other men that were governing all these officials. And so King Darius looked on him with favor and decided, you know what, Daniel has a lot of good skills, I'm going to put him in charge of most of the kingdom. And this made the other men really jealous. Now we can see here that God was in control of all of the circumstances because Daniel really wouldn't have been in Babylon if it wasn't for the exile earlier on with Nebuchadnezzar, and so God had a plan for all of that and was in control of all of that. So now while Daniel is put in charge of a lot of the kingdom, these men are trying to figure out a way to get him in trouble. So Daniel was a really faithful man. He was good at his work. He did a really great job. He was hardworking, and so the men had a really hard time trying to find something to catch him in. But they knew that Daniel was faithful to God, and Daniel prayed 3 times a day, every day. And so the men thought, you know, let's find a way to get him in trouble for that, because we know he's going to do that. So all those crafty men were thinking, haha, now we caught him. Let's come up with a plan, trick King Darius into agreeing to it, and we'll get him in trouble. So what they basically said was, they went to King Darius and said, oh, King, you are so great, you know, you should have everyone in your kingdom pray to you for 30 days. Only you. And you know, if anyone prays to anyone else or anything else, that they are going to be thrown into a den of lions, because you're so great, King. They were really kind of speaking to his pride, trying to make him feel really important. And King Darius wasn't thinking really. He said, you know what, that sounds like a really good idea. I think we should pass that law. For 30 days, they should only pray to me. I'm pretty great. I'm a good king. It would be a good idea. And then back in that time, if you guys didn't know this, when a law was passed, it was made a law, not even the king could change it. So once it was signed off and it was sealed, it couldn't be changed. So when the men had King Darius write this law, not even King Darius could change it. So the other men were just waiting to catch Daniel. So they were watching and waiting, and of course Daniel stayed faithful to God, so he was praying And the men saw that, and they went back to King Darius and reported that. They said, "Oh, king, hey, your law says if anyone prays to anyone but you in these 30 days, they get thrown into the lion's den." And guess who we saw praying to someone else? We saw Daniel praying to his God. Now, King Darius was really disappointed because he really liked Daniel, and he realized he was kind of caught in the middle there. He couldn't change his law because it had already been passed. And, Daniel was praying to someone else other than him, so he had to have Daniel thrown into the lion's den. And as King Darius is having his soldiers take Daniel to the lion's den, he says, "May your God be able to save you from the mouth of the lions, Daniel." And so Daniel's in there, and King Darius is up all night wondering, "Oh, is Daniel going to make it? I'm so upset." He couldn't eat. He was fasting. He was having a really hard time dealing with this. So early in the morning, he went out to the den of the lions, assuming that Daniel is a goner. But the lions have destroyed him. He's gone. He's not alive anymore. And he calls down and he says, "Has your God been able to save you, Daniel?" And to his surprise, Daniel calls out and says, "Yes, my God has saved me from the mouth of the lions." He had shut their mouths. He sent an angel to shut their mouths, and he had not even a scratch on him. And so he had Daniel come out, and he said, "Wow, may your God be praised. He is the one true God who has spared you from the mouth of the lions." So guys, we can see right from this very story's beginning that God is in control all throughout. Now, this story can show so many attributes of God, but we can see God is in control, and God had a plan and purpose for everything that happened in Daniel's life. So if you think back to when I was doing the puzzle, I was kind of like picking and choosing those pieces. I thought, "Oh, I like this piece. I want to keep that piece. This piece, it's kind of ugly. I don't like it. I got rid of it." But I couldn't see the full picture. I didn't know what the end result was going to be. Where the puzzle makers, whoever made the puzzle, they could see the full picture and knew that each piece was super important to complete the whole picture. And so that's kind of like the story here. At the very beginning, when Daniel is exiled to Babylon, he's thinking, "This is not what I had in mind. This is not something I would choose for myself." But we can see how God used it. If Daniel was never exiled and he never lived in Babylon, he would have never been able to serve all those kings and really shown God's glory through the way he lived his life. And then when he was thrown into the lion's den, that did not sound like a good plan either. I don't want to be eaten by a man-eater lion. Like, that's scary. And Daniel was probably worried, but he was committed to serving God, and he trusted God's plan and trusted that God was in control even when he didn't know the end result. And so when he was in the den of the lions and he trusted God, he prayed even though he knew that was going to happen. He came out of that and was able to glorify God, and actually King Darius then was saying, and he made a decree that said, everyone should serve Daniel's God because he is the true God. He saved him from lions in that den all night long. He saved his life. And so God got the glory and God got the praise because Daniel was faithful, and God had that in control the whole time. He knew what was going to happen. He knew that Daniel was going to be faithful. He knew that Daniel was going to go into the lion's den, and God knew that he would then receive the glory by Daniel's faithfulness. So I just hope that encourages you guys. Keep digging in the Bible. See if you guys can find some more stories that show God is in control. And then today we have a little bit of a different thing I want to give to you. I want to give you guys a challenge. So I have a story I already have in mind that shows God is in control, and I want to see if you guys can figure it out. So here are some clues for you. Clue number 1 for the story that I'm thinking of that shows God is in control. The main character in the story has a lot of brothers. Clue number 2, there is a jail involved. And clue number 3, the person in this story is used to save a bunch of people's lives in Egypt and beyond because of God being in control of his life. So we hope you guys can find it. We hope you find some more examples and some more references that you guys can share with us. Tune in later for a craft that we're going to be doing together, and we can't wait to see you again tomorrow. Take care, you guys.